Thank you, Mr. Announcer. Welcome to the big show tonight, everybody. Live from quarantine. It is day. Let's get the count on here. Oh my God, we've hit the big 4-0. The quarantine turns 40 today. Happy 40th birthday to everyone out there enjoying the quarantine. Happy Friday. Although there are no days anymore, just today. I've lost track. People have been asking if we do a show on Saturday or Sunday. We just do a show every night. I have no idea what night it is. Good evening, Michael. Hello, Patty. Hi, Jen. Hi, Andrew. And let's not hold back. Let's bring in the real reason you're here. The star of the show. He's bold, he's beautiful, and bald. Ed Troop. Good evening, Ed.
Good evening, man. What's going on?
Oh, man, what a day. How was your day today?
We're back at it. Pretty good. Yeah, not too bad. Rainy start, cloudy afternoon, but it's beautiful outside right now. So it's a perfect time to be indoors doing this show with you.
We went to Tomlinson State Park in West Virginia today. Beautiful, wild and wonderful West Virginia. We got out of the state. We left the Commonwealth. And it is true. And I don't want to get into like West Virginia stereotypes, but as soon as you cross the border out of Pennsylvania and you go into West Virginia, it is a different world.
Much different, right? Very different.
We're driving through we went through kind of like the back way to get into Tomlinson State Park. So we were like on Route 30 and we were going through and then like it all kind of seemed normal. And then it said, welcome to West Virginia. And the first thing we saw was a burned down gas station. Like literally on the border. Like that was the welcome center.
That's what got you guys into the great state of wild and wonderful West Virginia. It is interesting.
Wild and wonderful.
We are so close to West Virginia, and I always feel like when I'm going down to like Weirden on 22, and which isn't very often, but as soon as you cross over like the state line, I feel like I'm in another world, man. I don't feel like I'm in Pennsylvania.
We made the turn. We saw the burned down gas station, and then we made like a right-hand turn, and there was like a 900-foot sign that said "Gittins for sheriff." I thought, look for this guy. I mean, he has the biggest sign in town. So we were there, and what a beautiful park it was, man. Tomlinson State Park. You guys should take the boys. It's fun. You can run through the water. You can hike. You can fish. It's kind of like a Raccoon State Park. And good evening, everyone else. Hello, Scott. Hi, TJ. Hi, Mike. Did Scott cut his grass yet for the second time, Ed?
I don't think so. I was just looking at it today, and I see he has a comment up here. Did you call it Weird 10?
Oh, yeah. Did you call Weird? Because I heard you say it too. Did you call Weirton Weird Ton?
I don't know, but maybe it is weird. Maybe it should be Weird 10.
Every time I drive through it, I feel strange about myself. I think, wow, I can't believe this is so close to my house. Well, welcome, everybody. Hey, we have a great show tonight for you, all the way from California. Comedian Jesse Joyce will be here. Jesse writes for Jimmy Kimmel Live. He's written for the Academy Awards. He's a Carnegie Mellon, I believe, graduate and a Bishop Canavan graduate. And we went to church together when we were little kids.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, so we'll catch up with him, and he's done a ton of things. So we're going to get the state of comedy tonight, all the way out from Hollywood. But first of all, Ed, I know you want to make a comment. I have the Mr. Yuck sticker up. Have you just come clean? Have you tried to drink Lysol in order to get rid of the coronavirus?
No, I haven't. You and I were texting earlier today, and I'm not saying I support Trump or I'm against Trump. I'm not going to say either way. Yeah. That just starts fireworks either way. But I feel bad for him because I think what he was speaking to was more of an idea. Maybe we should look into this. And it sure didn't come out that way. In fact, I think I just read online not too long ago, he's now come out and said that he was being sarcastic or trying to put up an idea. But man, has the world blown up? I think it's 50-50. I think half people are actually like seriously like putting things out there like don't do this because they're concerned that people actually will. Then
Lysol put a press release out and said, don't drink our product. So somebody believed it. But I think he gets up there and he riffs, and that's part of, for some, his charm. For some, that's like his ignorance. But come on, man, you're the leader of America. You can't even like joke that you should be drinking Lysol or injecting it into your body.
Completely agree, man. And the problem is at that point you should probably just back off and say, "Hey, I didn't mean it," or maybe we should just look into it and hell or something, and then just be done with it. But instead, it just kept on going. But I don't know if that was definitely the intention, but that's the way it comes out. And then, like we talked about, he just keeps going and keeps digging that hole deeper and deeper and deeper and giving people more and more fuel to run with it. But it is interesting, man. I've seen a lot of posts today on Facebook. And like I said, I think it's 50-50. Like you said, it's Lysol. People actually concerned about this, which I get. And then there's the other half, too, that are just, it's fresh material, man. They can run with it.
They love it. They love it. And I think when you do see it, when you watch it, now he shouldn't be riffing that way because it is dangerous. But do I think he thinks you can drink Lysol? I don't think so. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that he probably doesn't think that you should drink Clorox or Lysol or any type of cleaner. Right. But at the same time, should he say that maybe there's a technology that you can inject it into your body? I don't know. This is a strange time for everybody, and the people who don't like him, of course, and it's a mixed country. It is wild, man, and so you can't jump. Good evening, John from Seattle. John's watching from Seattle, Washington, with that long mountain man beard. Good evening, John. And Jen said, Ed, I agree. The delivery was poor, but he certainly wasn't advocating drinking Lysol.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. But like I said, though, you stumble. Everybody does that when we're speaking. Just stop, admit it, and move on to the next. But that's not our president's style, man. He just keeps going with it. He keeps running with it. So
yeah, I've had problems, and I have never drank Lysol, but I was trying to think. Obviously, if you drink bleach, you're probably going to kill yourself. But I've eaten things, and we had a whole show last night about things I won't eat. But there was 2 times that I thought I was going to die, and I think I called you at one of them. I don't know when. Maybe the first time was not when I called you, but it was in the middle of the night. I went downstairs to try to find food, and I got a piece of bread out. I was like, I'm just going to put peanut butter on this bread. And as I'm watching TV, eating a piece of bread with peanut butter on it, I turn the light on, and the entire piece of bread is covered in mold.
Oh.
And that scared me. And I started Googling, will I die if I eat moldy bread? And it really concerned me. It scared me. I thought it was the end. And then also, and I think this is when I called you, I just went to the refrigerator when I was on a phone call. It might have been with you. And I put my hand in a bag of cheese, like shredded Colby cheese. And I took out a whole handful, started eating it. And I looked in there. And again, my best friend, Mr. Mold, is all in that bag. It didn't kill me, but it made me, I wanted to say goodbye to all my earthly friends. I was a little nervous.
So I've definitely done that before. I've come close, not ingesting it, but I've definitely pulled out cheese, sprinkled it on something, then I look in the bag and it's moldy. Bread, same thing. I'll get bread out. I'll get something ready to go. And even that piece might be okay, but the next piece in the next loaf is moldy. And they say if one piece of bread in a whole loaf is moldy, then the whole thing's ruined. You got to throw it out.
Wait, hold on a second. Go back on that. That was an important part of this story.
Yes.
You've heard that if one piece of bread is moldy, the whole bag is gone?
The whole package is now contaminated. That's what I've always been told. Whereas a brick of cheese, because cheese is, I think, mold or something to begin with, isn't it? It grows mold on it. But if you have a brick of cheese, not shredded cheese. Cheese.
I think blue cheese is mold, right?
Right. Mayo is mold. If you have a brick of cheese, you can always just cut off the moldy part, and continue on. You're okay.
You can enjoy it for as long as you want to.
You're okay. I believe. But I've definitely made that mistake, man. I think eating mold or digesting mold is only an issue if you're allergic to penicillin. That's the other thing I'm allergic to.
So you think I'm okay? When I had that piece of bread, I wasn't going to die. And then when I had
that. You're not allergic to penicillin, because I've always been told that if you're allergic to penicillin, then you got a problem.
Although my thumb fell off after I had it. Which was,
there you go. You're down to 4 fingers.
I'm down to 4 fingers now.
That's
I just thought, well, was that a side effect, or maybe it was going to fall off naturally? I don't know. Who knows? Thanks for that insight. Now, the grossest thing, apart from me getting that handful of cheese and then the bread, was hi Anita. Anita's here tonight, Ed. Hi Joanne. Hi Dan. Hi McKnight Road. Hi Jess. Hi Colin. Hi, Dave. Hey, Tom Rooney from the famous Rooney family of Pittsburgh is watching tonight. Hi, Tom.
Awesome.
Hi, Matthew DiGiacomo. Good to see you, my friend. Thanks for watching. Um, this past fall, do you let your kids eat and drink in their bedrooms?
Not really. No. I mean, maybe a snack like some goldfish or glass of lemonade or something, but
We were
not
caught
much.
up where Cy, my son who's 8, was asking for like a cup of milk before bed. And so that cup of milk got left in the room, and it had a, I don't know how bad or how long it takes for milk to get as horrible as possible, but it was like gelatinous when I got there. Like it had to be up there for at least 3 or 4 days. And like when I tried to just like move it, it shook like pudding. And I made the kids come up and smell it. Like, what a psycho parent I am. I made both kids, one of them wasn't even responsible for it. I made them both come up and smell the cup so they knew that this was not something that they can do in our house. That was absolutely
Dude,
disgusting.
now milk is definitely something you don't want to mess with, man. If that's left out for longer than I think like 20 or 25 minutes, you
Oh,
could possibly be in trouble.
yeah, that
So
was bad.
I don't mess around with milk.
Hey, tomorrow, Ed, if you are one of the people who believe that Trump wants you to drink Lysol and maybe that'll work to get rid of the COVID, tomorrow on CNN in the morning, join Dr. Sanjay Gupta and Big Bird as Sesame Street and CNN explain the coronavirus to kids and adults. Will you be tuning in with your kids so Big Bird can tell your kids about Corona?
I know Nickelodeon did something not too long ago. They had like a town hall, Nickelodeon town hall with I think it was who was hosting that? I can't remember. Was it
Mark Summers from Double Dare?
Mark Summers? Was it a couple like rappers or something? Like they were sitting there trying to
Oh,
explain
really?
it.
There was rappers?
I can't remember who it was. Maybe it was Pitbull. Was Pitbull hosting the Nickelodeon
Wow.
Coronavirus? Coronas. I can't talk tonight.
Wait,
Weird.
Pitbull was talking to kids on Nickelodeon about coronavirus?
I think I can't remember who hosted it, but it was interesting. So
Well,
Big Bird.
Big Bird and Dr. Sanjay Gupta will be on CNN. Also, look for appearances from Grover, from Bert and Ernie, Mr. Snuffleupagus, and Rosita. And I also believe the puppet who has HIV will be on. So now there's a puppet who has a lot going on. The one who has HIV and is worried about coronavirus.
Right. Well, you know what? That'll be a very informative morning, Saturday morning for a lot of households if you start getting all that mixed in there. So that should be interesting.
I just can't wait to see the Trump presser on Monday where it's like, Big Bird is a loser.
No, I'm sure it'll be Twitter will be active with that probably.
Oh, yeah. There'll be a lot of hilarious memes of Big Bird and Trump and Dr. Deborah Birx.
Well, if this was the bird flu, I guess you would not want Big Bird as one of your talking point type people, right?
Oh, I never thought about that. You're right. Big Bird probably wasn't asked. But, Sanjay Gupta on CNN, I mean, that's a guy that I respect. I mean, he's a medical doctor. He's well-spoken. He's well-educated. I mean, I've seen him in a ton of interviews. Why did he draw the short straw that he has to sit there with like you and I and the Big Bird mascot talking about coronavirus? Like, isn't it bad enough that he sits up there with Anderson Cooper and they have to kill all this time? But now, when he has to be like, oh, let's turn it over to Bert and Ernie, who are going to tell us about depression. Bert, I mean, man, tough gig.
It is tough, man. I haven't watched very many of those CNN town halls. I feel like they're like every other day. There's either one on the Democratic candidates, that's no longer, but or it was always on, or it's on this now. But this is the one I think they have like twice a week. Anyhow, every time I turn it on, it's always the same subject. It's always the same question. It's about bringing your groceries into your house and what you should do with it. And then they go to a video of Dr. Sanjay actually bringing it in, and he's like all like. You can tell how awkward. Like this.
Well, look, here's the thing. The grocery thing is so weird. I mean, I don't need to go into this. I've told everyone in this show for the last 40 days that my mom and dad have not left the house for 2 months. They will not get coronavirus. But they've told me now that they wipe down bananas with Lysol wipes. I mean, they're drinking it like Trump. My mom probably has it because she at least has the Lysol in her mouth. They wipe down bananas. They wipe down Amazon boxes. They put on gloves to not touch it. But same as you, I've heard that you don't have to be too worried about boxes and packages. It doesn't live on that. But once you get in your mind, you're gone.
Yeah, as far as they know, it's not a foodborne illness. But a lot of people are doing that. We are not. One thing I am doing is anytime I go out and I come back in with bags or any type of thing, I wash my hands immediately. We put all the stuff away, and then I go back a second time and wash my hands again after we've put everything away.
Okay.
Just because of up here more than anything.
Okay, but they're still talking about that on CNN town halls with Gupta.
Yeah, they're still. He like shows like he actually is wiping everything down. He's doing what your mom's doing. He's like wiping everything, but it's so awkward because he's like, first you take the cup, and then you take the Lysol wipe and you wipe it down, and then you put it over here. And it's kind of crazy too because it's like you got to make a part of your table that's like the dirty part, and then the sanitized part, and then the clean finished part, and it's mind.
Isn't it bad? Isn't it enough that I'm just staying home? If coronavirus is on a box of Cheerios and I get it from the Cheerios, there's only so much I can do. I can't live. I can't be Bubble Boy. I just can't anymore. I'm not going any. There's no more games or sports to watch. I'm not leaving my house. Yeah. If I get it from a box from Amazon, I guess it's just like it was just meant to be that I was supposed to get it. Hi, Andy. Andy Schneider, everybody. Hi, Clem. Hi, Jack. Hi, Mike. Yeah, my boo. Sean Graham's watching. Hi, Sean. Hi, Kelly. Hi, Krista. Got a whole nice crew tonight checking it out. Comedian Jesse Joyce is going to join us here momentarily. And so, Ed, that's your update for tomorrow. So you have the NFL draft to watch tonight, round 2, and Dr. Sanjay Gupta with Big Bird tomorrow to explain to you. Maybe Big Bird will have some tips that you may like too. Who knows?
Yes, you never know. You never know, man. It's it's one of those things like you're never too old to watch Sesame Street, right? Or Mr. Rogers or any of that stuff.
Well, Sesame Street went to HBO like last year, and I'm not sure how it all works because I don't watch it. But like, did it get X-rated like The Sopranos? Like, is Big Bird whacking people now, or is it still kid friendly?
Yeah, it's like they're all living like in a jail together, and there's all kind of crazy stuff going on. It's like Orange is the New Black. So,
hey, there's Andy. What's up, Kite Man? Thanks for the entertainment. You're welcome, Andy. Hope you're staying safe. It's
the same show. I don't. My kids don't watch it anymore. But when it switched over to HBO a few years ago, our youngest was still watching it, and we watched it a couple times. But they faded quick, man. I feel like we watched as kids. We watched Sesame Street and all that stuff till we were like 10. I don't know, 9 or 10 years old. I feel like my boys.
Sorry, did you say you watched Sesame Street till you were 10?
No, I'm not 10. When I first said 10, maybe more like 8 or 9. But I mean, it was a while.
I'm sorry. Did you say you watched Sesame Street till 9?
I said till 18.
Oh,
18. I watched it till.
You were still counting along with Grover till you were 9.
What's wrong with that? I'm sorry, man.
Nothing, quality entertainment.
I'm easily distracted tonight because I told you I'm in the kitchen, and in the background I have the NFL draft round 2 on because I'm awaiting the Steelers making their first pick of 2020 here. So,
now who do you think it'll be? Who do you think the Steelers will pick tonight?
They'll probably make it here within this broadcast. So I'll have to let you know if I see it pop up here. So there are a few picks.
But who do you think it will be? You have a true prediction? Troopers?
Well, we had Ray Fittipaldo on a couple weeks ago, Paul Alexander the other night, Andrew Stockey a couple weeks ago. We were talking to all those guys, Mark Cabali and Josh Yohe last week, Bill Powerhouse Hughes. So a lot of sports guys on the last few weeks. We talked about the draft, and they all kind of pointed towards the Steelers drafting a playmaker here in this second round, a running back or wide receiver, and I agree with that. I think that's where they're going to go. This is a deep draft for those positions. There's a lot of good players coming out of college. I like the kid from Ohio State. His name's Dobbin. And if he's still available right now, so if he's there at that pick, I really hope they go and get him. He's a very, very good running back.
All right, well, keep us updated, Ed. Keep us updated as the night goes on. Live from the war room.
Which was interesting last night, and they're doing it right now too. They have a cam like this. They have the GM cam, a coach cam, and then they have cams inside of each player's house. And it's interesting to see everybody's cribs because you got some where they're living like in a normal family room. Others are in like a dump. Somewhere in like a very like obviously multi-million-dollar type of home. So it's very interesting.
I saw Belichick was in his kitchen, and he has like a kitchen table that looks like my Aunt Bev used to have. Like it's just enormous, and it's made of like light wood, the kind that like nobody wants anymore. And then all these other coaches are in these mega mansions. It's great. All right, well, keep us up to date on that. Hey, let's bring Jesse Joyce in. He's been waiting. We don't want to make him wait any longer. Jesse's from Pittsburgh, stand-up comic, Emmy nominated, Writer Guild award winning. There he is. Hey, Jess.
Hey, what's up? Holy, this worked. I've never used this before. So, hi everybody. How are you?
Hey, man. I saw you come in sideways at first, and then everything got corrected.
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't. Well, I had to use my phone because I had to abandon my laptop because it wasn't working on that. So, this is my backup plan. So it worked. Yeah.
That's okay. It looks great. Where are you? Are you in Los Angeles?
I am. Yeah. I'm in my house. I'm in my office in my house.
Well, you have a lot of taxidermy going on behind you. What do you have there? Like a meerkat and
yeah, I do. I have a that's a if we we can get it. That's a Hyrax. It's like a what's interesting about the Hyrax, Brian?
What?
I don't know if you know this. It's the closest living relative to the elephant. How about
and you have one on your desk.
that little bastard right there? So, but yeah, no, I actually have an entire office filled with taxidermy. So I don't know if you can see.
Well, you got a rhino?
Is that a rhino?
Yeah,
a rhino.
So, yep, yeah.
Hey Jess, real quick, just go through what you have, man. That was too fast to show us a rhino and then come back.
Well, wait. To be clear, before we get into it, I didn't kill any of these things. I procure them from eBay because I have an aesthetic that has been coined 19th century gentleman Victorian serial killer.
Okay.
So that's just like the sort of the just the general look of my of where I live. So this all right, let's see what I got here.
Because this is the most fascinating part. I don't know if you agree, Jess, if you're watching like a ton of cable news and stuff, but what goes on behind people and what their houses look like is more interesting than what anyone's talking about.
No, you're absolutely right. Like I find myself constantly like scouring the, what I actually did because, for work and stuff, I'm fascinated by that. Oh, by the way, what's the language restrictions on here, just in case? Because I'm not.
Whatever you want to do.
Okay, all right.
Native Chico's listening, so watch your mouth.
Okay, just making sure. Just because, like, I didn't want to, but that fucking lunatic, Jim Baker, remember him, the dude who went to jail for
Jim and Tammy Faye and Jim Baker.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then Alan Dershowitz got him out of jail. And anyway, that con man, you know how he got in trouble for like trying to get people to drink liquid metal to cure coronavirus? Did you hear about that?
No.
Yeah, he's back and he has like a show. And so anyway, so long story short, I like high definition downloaded the video and then freeze framed it so I could like look at all the books on his bookshelf behind him to see if there's anything worth making fun of him for on Kimmel. Yeah. So and no, unfortunately. Well, he has a bunch of books on bankruptcy, oddly enough. So, and a couple about UFOs, which is telling. But anyway, so here's the I got a zebra, and that's a Tibetan Goa, and that's a Cotamundi, and then a hyena, and a
wow.
Yeah. So
hey, what is a zebra? What do you pay for a zebra on eBay?
Oh, dude, this is a long conversation. I'll get all into this. I want to show you. I would show you stuff first.
Okay, let's see some more.
The only things that are not real in here, like, because I have it's important that it's all real. Here's my bear rug, by the way. Is the panda, because you'd have to go on the dark web to get panda taxidermy, and like you can't. It's impossible.
You can't do that. You
can't get it. Yeah. But I found a sculptor in England who sculpts fake taxidermy. It's really great. It's called Broken Hair. If you ever want to look, HARE, like the rabbit, Broken Hair. Anyway. So I like wrote to him and I was like, hey, would you ever want to do like a panda, but like a furious one, like the way they do other bears, like where they're all angry?
Yeah.
And I think he like nailed it. That's my angry panda, right?
Oh my God.
I was just saying, pandas are never that angry, right? I mean, they're like always gentle. I've never seen
like a mad panda, which is why I thought it'd be super fun to have like a fierce panda. So there's my penguin. And then over here on this wall,
oh no, he was eaten by the panda and we lost him.
That was crazy, man. There he goes.
Thank you, Jesse. Great to see you. Well, I didn't want to go. I have so. He's back. I just couldn't. Wow. Let me hear it. We got him back. Hold on. Let's bring him back. Hang on. All right, here we go. Sorry, there's this countdown. Yeah, you're back. We got worried that you were attacked.
No. We thought you were eating.
No, that's the worst. Yeah, I hit a button accidentally on my phone and it shut off. But I get real excited when I show off my goofy office. So this is a Gerenuk, right? It's like a relative of a giraffe. Like it's got a very long neck. See, and there's another bear and a wallaby, and then over here on this wall there's a Wolverine and a wild boar and a Blesbok and a Sesame and a buffalo and a rhino. So, and then
How
there's a
big
lot
is
of
this
little
room, man? I mean, this is an
in the display
incredible room.
cases as well. So, and then there's a lion and stuff in there. So
Huh.
that's it. That's the office. So
Is there
it's
an
like a
animal
little.
that's on your list that you haven't gotten yet that will put the collection together?
Well, as taxidermy collection goes, like the sort of crown jewel of like the what would be like the Babe Ruth rookie card of taxidermy collecting
Yeah.
is a platypus. They're like super rare and hard to get,
Okay.
and like they stopped stuffing them like 100 years ago, so you can only get like an antique one, you know.
Okay.
So, and then I'd like a koala maybe and a sloth. And by the way, I don't want, just in case, I don't know how many people are lit, but like don't kill a koala. Like don't, like I don't want anybody to go out and kill the thing. But if a koala like falls out of a tree in your yard and it happens to, like, you know what I mean, like just die of natural causes, like
Right.
I'll stuff it and throw it in here. So anyway,
Yeah, for sure. It's funny. I had a baby black bear that Ed knows I had in my old house, and I got it at an antique store in Pittsburgh, and I really loved it. I put like a cigar in its mouth and a hat
Yeah,
and
sure.
sunglasses and stuff. But it always had a really like disgusting, dirty smell to it. Is that because it was bad taxidermy?
No. I get like quality taxidermy. Like, no,
Okay.
that's actually a rule of my wife's, is that it can't be sketchy at all. The taxidermy, you know,
Yeah.
like if I'm gonna bring it in that, because she's not. My wife is not thrilled with this.
I'm surprised. I thought she would love it.
Yeah. Although, as a wedding present, she did get me. It's the coolest. And the kids are in the living room. I can't like leave the office right now, but the living room. There's only one piece of taxidermy that's not in my office, and it's there's a muskox hanging above the mantle. So, so she got me that for our wedding. So I was like, she's a keeper.
She's a
pretty
keeper.
cool. So
she's a keeper.
She's Canadian, so there was like it's a Canadian beast. So
it makes everyone feel good.
Back to your original question. The zebra was about $700, I think, something like that.
Okay.
So I don't know what you were thinking it would be. What would you have guessed?
It's not my forte. I would have no idea what that would go for.
That's what I would have guessed.
You would have guessed 700?
Oh, for sure. That's like a rare find. I mean, a deer is probably like $20, but I mean, you go all the way up to that type of thing.
Yeah. Hey, Jesse. Plus, if comedy dries up, man, you can sell all those, and you probably can live for a few months. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I could probably, get by a little bit if I sold off my whole collection. So this has been amassed over like a decade. So
yeah, I love it. Beautiful. Yeah. Hey, how long have you worked at Kimmel for?
Since my son was born, so about 2.5, almost 3 years now. So not quite 3.
Because I think that he has so much. I mean, I think you guys have so much inventive stuff, and you were saying that you zoom in on Jim Bakker's shelves to see if he has a book. I mean, that's a journey worth taking, right? Because that can go pretty far if you saw something really insane.
Well, that's yeah. And I mean, I feel like that's like a strong suit of mine. That's like what I really love doing, working on the show, is like, for me personally, is like investigate, like digging into some detail that other people aren't making fun of, like it might be a story that everybody's making fun of, but I like to dig out the rare truffle that's like, but did you know this about him, kind of a thing, so yeah. And I'm kind of like the conspiracy goofball on the show too, so like if there's a big conspiracy theory bit, that's usually my territory. So yeah.
Well, how has comedy changed? I mean, obviously we're not laughing about the virus itself and the death that goes along with it, but the quarantine has to be giving you endless material, or at least food for thought.
No, oh yeah. I mean, like, yeah, there's stuff obviously to talk about every day. Like his, the dipshits press conferences alone are pretty endlessly entertaining for comedy. Like, we're off today. We don't do a show on Fridays, but of course, last night was the night he decided to tell everybody to try drinking scrubbing bubbles and see what happens. So we missed. But I mean, well, that'll probably obviously be on the show on Monday. But like but I mean, it's like a daily barrage of endless stuff to talk about. Obviously, as far as that goes, the one thing that doesn't, you guys both have kids, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the one thing that doesn't ring true to me at all is the like I have to make the jokes because it's kind of the theme, but like I'm so bored. Like, what am I gonna do? Like dude, I don't have a free second because I have a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old, and then like I don't think I've ever been busier in my life than like right. You know what I mean? Like, because I'm working from home, so I just constantly have tiny fists pounding on my little door. You know, like so.
Your taxidermy's not scaring them away.
Oh no, they love it. They love it. I mean, I don't know what
Yeah,
kind of damage that's going to do to them when they're in their 20s, but like the 2-year-old thinks like I have like he has like a museum in his house. You know what I mean?
that's
So
awesome.
he
Was
actually
there
calls.
talk? Was there talk at first that the show was just going to stop, or was the idea always going to be that it was going to be from home and the way what you're seeing late night is now?
Nah, I kind of think it went the way that like it probably did for everybody. Like it was just like a giant question mark. Like we found out at like Thursday night on March 12th that like we weren't going to be coming in on Friday. Like everybody just stay home, and like we didn't. We thought maybe like, oh, maybe we'll just hang out over the weekends or whatever and come back on Monday. And then it was like, no, like everybody, we're going to stay home this week. And then that turned into like, we're gonna do another 2 week, another week. Like it was like that, and then and then that's when everybody kind of figured out what to do. And it's nice to live in California actually, because it seems like our governor's pretty proactive about all this. So like, so at least we have a plan in place to like be. I know I'm gonna be here till mid-May anyway. Right now, at least, So I don't know what the plan is beyond that, but it does seem like we're like yeah like we figured we're figuring out a system to do the show.
Yeah, it's weird though. Like the novelty though now, like we're 40 days in of Ed and I doing this just at home fun quarantine show. The novelty of this is gone. I'm sure the novelty of Kimmel at home is gone. The novelty of you working from home is gone. It's weird. Is it just because our brains move so fast right now and there's so much technology that we can grab onto so fast that we're just ready for the next thing? We're done with this pandemic. We're ready for our next pandemic.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, but I mean, this is gonna go on for a long time, like,
Yeah.
so yeah, don't kid yourselves. But yeah, but like, I do think it's interesting that like, the like, the one thing is like the look of a late night show, kind of becomes like kind of iconic, like like whatever the skyline in the background, like you kind of recognize
Right.
you could see a still shot of it and immediately like, oh, okay, I'm watching Fallon or I'm watching Kimmel or whatever. But like, it's interesting that like whatever little corner of their homes they're all doing the show in has like become you like recognize it now, because it's been
Yes.
enough days. I think if you watch late night that like we have like like kind of a set aesthetic for how that looks now, So
Yeah.
I think it's kind of cool. So
Jesse, have you guys adapted like your writing or anything with there being no studio audience, no audience at all? I mean, these guys are just in their own home. Does that change the game a little bit as far as your approach to how it's delivered and what they're doing?
Yeah, it's not like I think that yes, like, but to be honest with you, I think writing comedy with parameters is honestly easier. Like it always is easier. Like
Yeah.
if you were to just tell anybody I don't want to speak for all comedy writers, but like if you were to just basically, but I'm going to. So like if you were to say to a comedy writer like, just write me 10 jokes, like that's impossible, like about what, like where do I, but if you say write me 10 jokes about Bruce Willis's house catching on fire, like, oh great, okay, yeah, I absolutely can do that, because it's like, all right, so I'm limited to Bruce Willis, fires, Die Hard, like his house, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
like I have now a finite group of references. So similarly, like, even with this show, it's like, that like, for the most part, there's certain kinds of bits that are off the table. Like we just can't do them right now. So by narrowing the focus of it oddly, I think it's almost in a way, there's a way in which it's easier to write jokes because it's like, all right, I don't have to worry. I don't have to think about any of those things. Here's the 10 things in front of me that the joke could be about,
Right.
So, so that's why
Yeah.
I like working on the roast so much, because that's the Comedy Central roasts. I've been working on those for 15 years or whatever. But like those are very narrow in what they're about. So to me, it's like my favorite kind of jokes to write, because it's like, okay, you have Flavor Flav and Sir Ian McKellen sitting there. What do they have in common? So it's like
And
you
go.
have to find the joke in such a narrow window of things that could be about. You know what I mean?
Well, how do those work, Jess? So you're gonna have the Macaulay Culkin roast or Justin Bieber roast or whatever. So and all of a sudden, do you get as a writer, do you get a list to say, hey, Shaq's gonna be on the dais and or Bruce Willis is gonna be there, and then are you writing jokes and pitching it to Shaq, hoping
Yeah.
that he doesn't fuck up your jokes?
Which is an exact example, by the way. Shaq has
Oh,
100%
really?
fucked up several of my jokes. Like
Okay.
Shaq has, I watched Shaq butcher one of my jokes so badly. I found it extremely annoying. I don't even remember what it was, but the gist of the joke, there was somebody. I don't really care about sports, so sorry. I know you guys are big sports guys, but I know enough to make jokes about it. And so Shaq was there, and like some dude who played for some other team was sitting in the audience, and like we found that out that day that he was going to be there, and so we needed a dig for like Shaq to like slam that guy, and so the joke was something that completely hinged on the double entendre of the word ring, meaning both a championship ring and a phone call. That was the hinge that the joke worked on. So it was something to the effect of like, oh hey, I got to give you my number because or I want you to give me, or I'll give you a ring sometime because I have 5 of them and you don't, or whatever. It was something like
Got
that,
it.
right?
But it's clever, right? But for Shaq, he never in his brain could put together this
Dude,
clever joke.
he somehow smashed it into a single entendre. like he was just like, he's like, why'd you give me a call sometime? Because I got 5 championship rings, you don't got any. And it was like, no, that's not at all close to what the joke was.
Is it a pitch session? Do you sit with these guys and read them the jokes? Like, when Peyton Manning was on, Peyton Manning's not a funny guy, but he's an actor, right? So he can figure this out. Is there a sit down where you read these and
Yeah.
you're like, hey, do you get it?
Yeah. It usually, like, what happens is, and by the way, to get back to your earlier question, is a lot of times we don't get like a list of who's on it. That shit comes together like in the last week. Like we start writing for the person we know that the roast is about like 3 weeks out maybe, because we know
And
who's
do you
roasting
find
it.
out, is there off limit things like when you have Trump, and obviously there could be a whole new roast now on Trump part 2, but like when you had Trump on, are there things where he's like, do not talk about my
Oh
ex-wives?
yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
and in fact Trump is like the most embarrassing and classically Trump version of that ever. Like everybody else, like yeah, everybody usually has like 1 or 2 things they'll say is off limits, and it's almost always like their kids or what, or like, don't bring up the fact that my dad killed himself or whatever, what I mean, something like that. Like,
Okay.
don't make fun of my miscarriage. Like,
Yeah.
like it's like, okay, cool. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Trump's only rule was don't say I'm not as rich as I am. That was a fact. Like, we were not allowed to
Wow.
undervalue his net worth. And that was the number one thing. Like, don't make fun of that. And there was some joke that we had that was like, it had something to do with it was like Trump taking ownership of the jokes about his hair, because like that was going to be all the jokes all night, was like what stupid hair he had, because it was also before we knew what a monster he was, like at the time he was just like a 3 times bankrupted Pizza Hut spokesman, you know what I mean, like that's who he was.
Yeah.
So like there wasn't whatever war crimes to dig in on. so
Right.
so like we have some jokes, so like a lot of the jokes were about his hair, because he is ridiculous. And there was one thing in his rebuttal, he was gonna have to like acknowledge that, like, I know you guys always make fun of my hair or whatever, and then have some slam on the dais. You know how that works, like,
Sure.
like, whatever the guy gets hit on a lot, he has to own it at the end and then turn it around on everybody else.
Yeah.
And so he had some joke that was like, where he told a Trump hair joke, and it was like something to the effect of like, what's the difference between Donald Trump's head and a wet raccoon? A wet raccoon doesn't have $3 billion. That was the gist of the joke.
Yeah.
He literally crossed out the word 3 billion, wrote 7, and faxed it back to us. That was what he contributed to his script. And
do you still have it? I mean, do you
Yeah, and then
still?
just to, like, fuck with him, we like put it back in the script, but we put it in as 4, and then he changed it back to 7, like, just to see if like we can negotiate the price of his hairpiece.
I love
So,
it.
and then there was a different one too that was something about the size that he didn't live on Earth, like he lived in some penthouse space station that orbited the Earth, and then he was going to talk about how luxurious it was, like sell it like it was a piece of real estate or something like that. And it was like something about like how it's like 150,000 square foot marble Italian marble space station. He crossed out 150 and put 300,000. That's like a real thing that he did. Like he
Wow.
wanted people to think that his fictitious space station was bigger than it was. So,
Wow.
yeah,
And this was like the prelude to what we deal with now. So you had an insider front row seat to seeing what really does matter, these numbers. So you're not surprised to hear him say there was 300,000 people at my inauguration, not 100,000.
no, dude, I've hated that dude. I've hated that dude since he worked for Pizza Hut. Like because I've had to, and for anybody who like happens to be listening, who's like a Trump supporter or whatever, like, have you ever met him? I doubt it. I have twice, and I've had to work with him, and he's made my job impossible, and he fucking sucks. Like he he is the comedic timing of an electrical fire in an orphanage. That dude is a comedy death sentence. He's violently not funny. And
Jess, my neighbor Robin wants to say hello to you. She's on the screen. You and her work together at the bookstore at Duquesne.
oh, really? That's funny. That's the only job in my whole life that I've ever gotten fired from.
Is that right? What did you
Yeah.
do?
I don't know. To this day, I don't know. And trust me, look, I would own it if I got fired for a reason that I was like a good reason. So that's the thing. It's not a good story. But that bookstore lady just didn't like me for some reason, and she fired me. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. I never been fired from a job before. So, and still to this day, that's the only job I ever got fired from. So,
It's
anyway,
funny. The last time I saw you, and I didn't tell Ed this, the last time I saw you, you were performing in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. I was doing radio in Philly, and you came into town. I don't know if you were I think you were headlining it, or maybe you were. We lost Ed. Ed will be back.
okay.
We're headlining it, and or maybe you were the mid card on it. But there was a guy in the audience that was heckling you the whole time, and you handed him his ass back, and he was trying to talk funny jokes and
I
whatnot.
totally remember that.
And
I
do you remember
so
what
pissed
happened
off.
in the lobby?
I flicked a cigarette at him, didn't I?
You did.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I remember that. Like, and it because the thing was, and this is like a heckler mentality. A lot is it's the most fascinating, fucked up psychological dynamic of. Oh, by hi to the person who I worked in the bookstore with, by the way.
It was Robin. She just said that the woman who ran it didn't like anybody.
Oh, okay.
So she obviously didn't like you.
Oh, that's great. Okay, well, hi, Robin. It's nice to hear from you. So, like, there's this heckler thing that happens that's so mind blowing that, like, after the show, the person who ruined the show can't wait to like take credit for it, and like they
Yes.
want to like shake your hand, like you guys were a team, like you worked together or something, you know, like.
Well, that's
And
what I took in was.
hey,
Hold on, we got Ed
yes,
back. Was I went out in the lobby, and this guy for Cherry Hill, Ed, you're back.
Sorry about that. I don't know what happened.
That's all right. So Jesse does a set in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. It was a good set. A guy tried to heckle him throughout, and he didn't let it bother him. He shut the guy down. But in the lobby during the headliner, the guy came up to you, Jess, and started saying, "Hey, you're welcome. We did pretty good out there." Like he was trying to tell you that you guys almost worked together. And you
if
were
I
like,
remember
we didn't work
correctly,
together. I've been doing comedy for 17 years. I don't need you. And then you flipped that cigarette at him. I thought he was going to kill you.
Jeez.
yeah, you know, I really like I'm not like a guy who starts fights ever in my entire life, but there's something about like if somebody fucks with me on stage, like I just kind of like snap about it, you know, where like not during the show. I'm professional enough that I can keep it under control, but it's afterwards when they want to take credit for making my job hard. That's when I get so yeah,
Well,
like
it
I
had my
just
attention because I was watching. This guy was a big dude, and you're a big guy too. And I thought, Jesse's dead. Like this is over. And then he did sit down. You flicked that cigarette at him, and then
if
he walked away.
if I remember correctly, I made him. He was so stunned that you know it was kind of like that thing, like in a Vietnamese prison camp when you just like kill somebody for no reason and then it makes everybody else fall in line. You know, like I went. I accelerated that to 100 so quickly that he was like taken aback that how furious I got up in his face. And if I remember correctly, he then kind of backed. He was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I messed up your show." And I was like, "Yeah, you totally fucked up my show." And then, or no, he didn't say he was sorry because I made him apologize. And I was
Yes.
like, "I want you to say you're sorry in front of your fucking girlfriend." And
You
then he
did. That's right. And I thought this is where Jesse dies. And it wasn't. And this guy backed
I'm with
down.
you, man.
Dude, I haven't thought about this in however long that it's got to have been like what 12 years. No, you know what? I know how long ago it had to have been at least 15 years ago because I was still drinking then and I got sober 14 years ago. So yeah, so that had to have been at least 15 years ago at this point.
That might have been right on the beginning of sobriety, I think.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Well,
All right.
yeah, maybe 12 years ago. Because I
Oh, okay.
remember
Maybe I
part
was
of
like
your
newly
set was
sober
that you were sober.
and like a toddler didn't know how to handle my emotions. So,
You handled it, man. You handled it.
oh, well, thank you. So, that's fun. I forgot all about that. That's a fun story. Yeah. Neat.
Yeah, that would have been 2005 or 2007. So that would have been, well, maybe like
2005 is 15 years ago, dude.
That's crazy. Hard to believe, right?
Yeah.
Jesse, you get back to Pittsburgh
That's the
much?
year I got sober, 2005. So that's how I know for sure. So,
okay.
yeah. Anyway, but I don't know. You might be right. It might have been 2008. I don't know. How do I know? But
Might have been right around there.
But either way, it was. I'm glad. Thanks for coming out to a show. I appreciate
I wouldn't have missed it. The show was actually in the lobby that night.
it. Yeah, I totally remember that. I forgot all about that. But yeah, that's fun. There was one guy one time in Long Island. It was the craziest version of this guy I've ever, because they're all the same. Like the mentality of like the kind of person who will do that. They always behave exactly the same way after the show, like the heckler person and how they want to take credit. But the craziest one of those was I did some show in Long Island in New York, and then after the show, this guy, he was being a douche the whole show, and but he was like he was doing the thing where he's like trying to be funny, like also. So he was like, shouting out nonsense at the end of my jokes, like thinking he was helping or whatever. And so after the show, he like thrust his hand out to me and he goes, "Hey man, it was great working with you." And I was like, "What?" Like, no, we didn't work together, man. You fucked up my show. And then he was like,
He's putting this on his resume.
well, that's the crazy. Then it was like, he's like, "What are you talking about, kid?" Like, because he was like an old dude. He was like in his 60s or whatever. And he was like, he called me kid. I remember that detail. And he goes, "What are you talking about, kid? I worked with way bigger comedians than you." And I was like, "What?" And I was like, "Are you a comedian?" And he goes, "No, man, I help shows." And I was like, "What?" And then he goes, "Yeah, I worked with Rodney Dangerfield at the Tropicana in Atlantic City in 1983.
Wow.
I worked with Jerry Seinfeld 3 times." And like he like listed his like heckler resume to me, like he had dates and places of shows he ruined across the country. Like so, but in his mind, he was like just rattling off like, "Oh, these are all the greats I've worked with."
I love it. The greats I've ruined.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty fascinating.
Jesse, you get back to Pittsburgh much? Back this way?
Not since we've had kids, man. Like, but I have almost a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and that has made traveling a nightmare. And I just refuse to get on a plane with them. But we did like basically when the 1-year-old came around. This past year was the first year we didn't go back for Christmas because it was like now we have 2 of them. I'm not putting them on an airport. Like, so my parents who still live there are like, "It's up to you. You guys come to me," So so my parents trekked from Pittsburgh to here. But yes, I would love to go back. It's just I don't really have the luxury of being able to sort of willy-nilly travel around as much as I did when I was mostly just doing stand-up on the road. So I used to come back pretty frequently, but I miss it. I love it. So
where's your favorite place? Where's been your favorite place to do stand-up?
In the whole country?
Yeah, sure.
Actually, it's not even in this country. Interestingly enough, it's in Ottawa, Canada. It's a comedy club called Absolute Comedy in Ottawa, and it's crazy how good it is. Like to the point where guys will start doing stand-up there, like other younger comics, and then they think they're really good at comedy, and then they do a club anywhere else, and they just eat shit and they quit. because for some reason there's something magical about that particular club. Like you can't have a bad set there. It's unbelievable.
Wow.
And to further that point, that's where I got my wife. So I did.
When you say got your wife, is that a Canadian thing? What do you mean by that?
like I did a show and I crushed so hard I married a girl. So,
That's a big win. That's a big show.
That's a good one.
Yeah, she came to the show. Like, so she was just sitting in the audience. That's like where. So like, I love that club. I made one of my CDs there and everything. So, but anyway, so I had a fondness for that club before I met the wife there. But anyway, so yeah, so that would be my favorite. But I used to love the Pittsburgh Funny Bone. I mean, that's my home club. That's where I started, and it was really a shame when that closed down.
Yeah.
5-6 years ago, or maybe
Yeah,
more.
and they tried to find all the different versions of it, moving it all over town to try to get it rolling.
Try to
Yeah.
keep it alive for a while.
Yeah, I hated the room that they moved it to across the street next to the Hard Rock.
That was bad.
That was a bad move. Yeah.
That was a bad move. Hey, what will happen with Kimmel and the Oscars? I know you wrote for both for Seth MacFarlane and for Kimmel's Oscar appearances.
Yeah. I've written for the Oscars twice. Yes.
Is that with Kimmel as a host and then Seth MacFarlane as a host?
Yeah. So yeah, I used to do a lot of writing for Seth back before, because we met on the Charlie Sheen roast actually, and
Okay.
and then he would have me write stuff for him a lot.
Is that an impossible gig? Is that the
Oscars?
Yeah. Is that painful, or is it what it is?
No, it's kind of fun, because I mean, the same way that I mentioned before, that like what makes a job easier for comedy writers is to have parameters, you know. So it's like here's the 10 movies you can make fun of, you know what I mean? Like,
okay.
So in that way, it's kind of fun. But the part that sucks is having to like incorporate celebrities into the bits sometimes, you know, like they are so fickle that, like, you know, you'll go down this road with this, you know, very famous celebrity about this bit that they're going to do, you know, and then they just don't want to do it anymore. And like, you know, then you have to start all over. It's like, all right, like,
they just
you know,
they just say, oh, I'm not interested anymore in doing this.
Yeah, or whatever. Somebody will talk them out of it, or I don't know what happens. They get a better offer, or they can't make it anymore because they're doing a movie now, or like whatever it is. But like, so yeah, like it's like, you know, the host is going to be there, and so like it's just so much easier to just write jokes for the host, who you also know can deliver comedy, instead of having to worry if Sandra Bullock's going to be able to pull this off, or whoever. You know what I mean? Like,
okay.
So yeah, you know what I'm saying. So like,
just seems like a weird room, man. Like, it's not like anyone's there really ready to laugh, and you see some of these celebrities respond like Brad Pitt, like can't even smile.
Which is why I don't want to host them. But it's not my problem if I'm not the one hosting it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it is a completely thankless gig to host the Oscars, because yeah, like you can't win. Like, no matter what you do, there's going to be like a zillion articles the next day, like about people didn't like it for some reason. Like that happens every single time. But as a writer, like, you know, like Jimmy's a hilarious dude to write jokes for. So, you know, and he's a very funny guy in his own right. So like, you know, it's kind of fun to like, oh, all right, I guess, you know, to like, you know, take a break from Trump jokes to write Black Panther jokes for a little while or whatever, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. So, it's an interesting gig. And then you go, and then like, you know, you wear a tuxedo and you like, you're at the urinal next to Michael Douglas or whatever. Like, that's a weird thing. So, you know, so that's fun. But yeah. So actually, the first time around, they had like looser regulations on smoking, you know, because it was like 2012 or whatever. Not that, like, you know, I'm not talking about like the 60s. Like, we still knew you shouldn't be smoking in 2012. But back then, I still smoked, and I used to go and like, they actually had like because, you know, it's like the most famous people in the world there, and so like they kind of let them do whatever they want, you know. So there was like this one little area downstairs where you could smoke, and like I kept, because I was like a real smoking fiend back in the day. I was somehow like, it was like my smoking periods synced up with Robert Downey Jr. So we were like both going out for smoke breaks like every 8 minutes. So
that's
we
great.
were constantly like running into each other. So like, yeah, it's weird stuff like that happens at the Oscars. So that's kind of, I did get to talk to Michael Keaton at the after party at Jimmy's party the last one I did in 2017, I guess it was, and I got to tell him that like, that I'm from Robinson, which is where he's from.
Right.
And like, he used to, you know, dick around in the woods where my house now is, like back when it used to be woods and whatever. And I don't know, it was kind of cool to like get to talk to a Pittsburgh guy. So
yeah, right on.
Yeah, so that was
cool.
Yeah, so it was fun.
Well, Jeff, is there a downtime now in Hollywood? I mean, or should we expect? I mean, besides I can only hope that there's a Tiger King 2 in the works. But like with no one working, no one producing, no one filming anything, is there just going to be a void of entertainment in like December and January?
You know what? To be honest with you, I'm kind of like I as a not as a like. I think what I do specifically, like I think the late night show, like jokes are gonna be okay, like, but as a consumer of entertainment, yes, I'm very worried about what awful new thing this is going to spawn.
Yeah,
like
right.
like like that suddenly TikTok, everybody like what I mean. That's going to be the new like most like the I'm concerned about that because similarly, did you know about that? There was like a big writer's strike in like 2003 or 4 or 5. I don't remember when the date
Right.
was. It was somewhere around there, and because there was no writers creating comedy or creating anything, like creating new show ideas or whatever, that's what spawned reality shows. That's why reality shows came about.
Wow.
Was because networks needed to fill the void and they couldn't write anything because there's a union, like I'm in a union
Right.
the same steel worker would be in a union. So like you're not allowed to write on TV if you're not in a union, so they like legally weren't allowed to write anything. So like nothing that was produced could be prepared. And so that's why we all got saddled with stupid reality television. So anyway, so similarly, I'm
So it's your fault?
What's that?
You're to blame for reality TV? Writers
Well,
Union?
the writers' strike is the blame
Thanks a
for
lot.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can blame the other side of it for not.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
Yeah.
That's interesting. Never knew that. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. So because of that, that's what spawned reality TV. So likewise, I'm really afraid that like production value or something is going to go out the window completely, and like from now on, everybody's gonna like networks are gonna realize like when we're all allowed out of our houses, like, hey, it's so much cheaper to just shoot shit on your phone. Like
Yeah.
that's gonna be the new thing, like so the new season of CSI is gonna be shot on a fucking Samsung Galaxy, like,
Yeah.
like I'm worried about that
Yeah.
happening, so
Yeah.
but who knows? Yeah. So I mean, I actually read an article the other day that soap operas are running out of the last. Did you see that? That like
No.
so soap operas have apparently seen some like enormous spike in their ratings. Like people have been watching soap operas like more than they ever have. Like they're really popular now because people are home all day.
Yeah.
And but they're starting to worry because like they're now down to the very last things they shot in production before they run out. So they've been able to like fill this last month with like shit they pre-recorded up to
Oh
like
no.
I guess what I read was that they were kind of all on their Halloween episodes. That's where they were in filming when
Oh no.
shit shut down.
Yeah.
So we basically have like 2 more months of soap operas, and then that goes away too. And then like so who the hell knows what's gonna happen?
Wow. Good. I'll have to tell my grandma.
Yeah. So, but that's the thing. It's not just for grandmas anymore. Apparently, everybody's watching soap operas these days. I don't know.
Yeah, to check in. Days of Our Lives. That was what I would watch like when I was at Holy Trinity and I would skip school, fake being sick. I'd watch Days of Our Lives.
Yeah.
Maybe
But
see a Raw.
like, I guess if you do get into soap operas now, there's like 40 years of them that you could go back and catch up on.
Oh, there's always that.
You got plenty of time.
Yeah, it's crazy. If you ever go to like the IMDb page of somebody who was on a soap opera, like they were, like it looks at the years they were on the show. It was like they were on the show from like 1961 to 2017, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, they were doing shows in the Kennedy administration, and they're still doing it. So,
7 different characters.
Yeah. So anyway, it's pretty fascinating.
That's funny. Well, Jeff, thanks for the time tonight, man. I know you just got done with your writing gig. You rushed home to see us. This means a lot, man.
I didn't rush home. I'm here. I'm home. So I just powered down my laptop and called you guys on my phone. So
we appreciate it, man.
Thanks,
man. What's next besides writing for Kimmel, which is obviously a job in itself? Is there anything that you're working on that we can look for, or just more taxidermy?
Yeah, I mean, like I have been trying to use this time a bit to like work on some of my own stuff, like scripts and stuff like that, and so I don't know. I'm gonna try to sell one of those. Let's see, and then I got an idea for a Christmas movie. I think is pretty fun. So
you need a bald guy in it. Ed's ready.
Yeah. Oh, great. Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, absolutely. You guys both look the part of a Christmas movie. Yeah.
Hallmark Channel.
Yeah. I mean, Brian could play the guy who's like transitioning into Santa Claus, and then you could play the banker who doesn't believe in Christmas. I think that's how that would break down.
Jesse, I think Ed and I are starting a tradition to send out Christmas cards together. You just gave us our first idea for year number 1.
Yeah. So yeah, there's that. And then like when the kids get a little bit older, I'm gonna get back into stand up more. But
travel
right now it's just like I can't leave my house. Like I couldn't leave my house if there wasn't a quarantine. So my life's no different right now. So
we'd love to see you, man. If you come to Pittsburgh, I don't go to Holy Trinity Church anymore for obvious reasons, but we can still hook up and maybe have a coffee.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm way overdue to come back and do stand up in Pittsburgh for sure. So
be great.
Awesome.
I would love that. Yeah.
All right, cool.
Hey,
Yes,
this is fun.
thank you, man.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. This is a neat
All
thing
right.
to do. I'm glad you guys
be
are doing
safe
it.
out there.
Thanks, man.
How do I get off this?
Ready?
Yeah. How do I get off this? There's no like off button.
There he goes. Just ready. 3, 2, 1. There he goes. Like magic. Jesse Joyce, everybody.
You can get rid of him, huh? How you got rid of me there halfway through?
Yeah, what happened to you? Did you hit the wrong button? I thought you gave up. I thought you were like, the draft's on. I'm kind of listening to this about comedy. I'm watching TV.
I was like, I'm just going to X out of this. But no, man, he's good. That was very good, man. A lot of interesting stuff from out of L.A.
Yeah, he's a good guy. And that night that he was going to fight that guy in the lobby was crazy. Because he's lanky. He's tall, but also very skinny. And this guy, man, was like a truck driver who was going to tell him, oh, we partnered together in this. And yeah, Jesse let him have it, man. It was wild. It was great.
Dude, that's nuts. That's nuts.
Yeah. Hey, coming up next week as we wrap up, Robbie Inkmankowski from Root Sports will be with us on Monday. We'll maybe get a good feel for what's happening in Pittsburgh baseball world. Musician Josh Shapiro. And then from 3WS, Johnny Hartwell is going to be here next week.
Wow, it's a big week, man, as we march on. And by the 1 week from today, May 1st.
Wow. I didn't think we'd stick with this, but I'm having a great time.
It's fun, man. Like we've been talking about, we're putting our heads together and trying to figure out how we move forward in this. And who knows? Maybe May 8th we'll be able to call it a season. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe we don't know.
Give us a 30-day extension to the show.
We don't know yet. But we're going to keep going. And we've made a lot of contacts with some other exciting people that we're hoping to get on here in the upcoming week. So there might be a reason to stay on.
I thought it was a fun show. It was great to see you, Ed. Every time I see your face, I smile. And I think that Jesse's right. You are the banker that doesn't believe in Christmas, and I'm turning into Santa Claus.
I used to be a banker as we before real estate. So you never know, man. I like it. And you're transitioning into Santa Claus. You got the beard. You're transitioning.
I love it. Well, Ed, have a great weekend. Are we on tomorrow night? I'll call you. We'll figure it out.
All right, buddy. Sounds good. Stay healthy, everybody.
The man, the myth, the legend, the Mon Valley King, Ed Troop. Look at him. Look at him. Look at that head. Look at that head. Boy, perfectly shaved tonight.
Yep, shaved today. Nice and shiny.
Oh, yeah. And that recessed lighting behind you casts a really nice, perfect shadow on that head.
Look at that.
It really is great.
Really sparkly tonight. Nice and shiny, all shaved up. Everything's ready to go.
Start needing some powder for the show. We might need to get some makeup crew in here.
Oh, really? Get some makeup on here like this, huh?
Yeah.
To shine a little bit.
Who did the Steelers draft? Did you see?
They're not quite there yet. They're on the 44th pick, and I think the Steelers picked 48th. So I think we're 4 picks away. So probably in the next 20 minutes or so. They picked 49th.
49th. All right. We'll all tune in now. And we'll see you tomorrow for Dr. Sanjay Gupta and Big Bird and Ed Troop.
Tomorrow. Wow, those are some big guests.
All right. Good night, everybody. Good night, Ed. Be well, man.
Take care. Stay healthy, everyone.
There he goes. There's Ed Troop. Next week, Robbie Inkmankowski and the crew and blah, 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 blah. And good.